It is October, y'all, which is officially spooky season, which means we are getting spooky up in this mofo. Now, I love me a good horror movie. Unfortunately, that's not what Tarot is. The biggest problem I had with this movie was the breakneck pacing of it. This movie essentially has the pacing of a TikTok that goes on for an hour and 32 minutes, and it's really disorienting. Now, the premise is pretty simple. A group of college kids rent out an Airbnb for a weekend of drinking, and while there, they discover a cursed item and subsequently start dying. However, throughout the entire runtime of this movie, it is filled with plot holes, plot armor, and characters just making bad decisions in an excuse for the writers to progress the plot from point A to point B. Now, our main characters for this romp through Shitsville are Haley and Grant. These two were dating but recently broke up, which has caused a little bit of tension in the friend group as they try to remain cordial with each other. Haley is also the one who does the tarot readings for everybody. Then we have Paige and Elise, who are also dating and are the main reason that everyone is here at the Airbnb to celebrate Elise's birthday. Then there's Madeline and Lucas, and these two are also another couple, but they are just the most like boring milquetoast vanilla couple of the entire movie. There's nothing to say other than they're dating. And then finally there's Paxton, who is played by Jacob Batalon, who we will all know from the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. He is the only single one in the group, and he is essentially the comedic relief for the film. Now, after our cast of characters leave the Airbnb with their fresh curse on hand, we jump straight into the first kill. While on the phone with her girlfriend Paige, Elise hears a bump come from outside her room in the hallway, and she assumes that it is her sorority sisters returning from their night of partying. She pokes her head out into the hallway to see who it is, and is surprised to see that there is nobody out there, but the ladder to the attic has been pulled down. Again, assuming that her sorority sisters are playing a prank on her, she decides to investigate, so she goes up to the ladder and climbs up to the top. Elise is then jump scared off of the ladder by a ghostly version of her card, the High Mistress. The High Priestess, sorry, not the High Mistress, the High Priestess. And as Elise is laying stunned on the ground at the base of the ladder, the ghost is able to basically pick up the ladder and then just start to bludgeon Elise with it. And somehow the cops rule this as an accidental death because there's no signs of foul play. And now, I'm no CSI, surprise, but we clearly see that Elise gets bludgeoned to the point where blood splatters across her phone. Like, are you trying to tell me that the cops walked in, saw the broken, bloody, bruised body of this girl, and went, must have just fallen off the ladder. It's an open and shut case, Johnson. Like, what? Now, the group is obviously rocked by the sudden death of Elise, especially Paige, since that was her girlfriend, and so they all meet up at Paige's house to kind of mourn and get their heads together. By the end of the night, Haley decides that she's going to stay the night with Paige to keep her company so that she's not alone, and everyone else goes home. Lucas ends up walking Madeline home, and this is where we get our second kill, which is not even 10 minutes after Elise's death. In fact, when Elise's death, one scene with them all at the apartment and then his death. That's it. There was no cool down or build up in between the two deaths. And now when I was first watching this in theaters, this was the character that I did not know. Literally, this guy was walking home. I'm like, oh, he's about to die. I see the ghost coming for him. But I don't know his name. I don't know who this character is because up until this point, literally no character has been flushed out or given any kind of real personality except for Haley, Grant, and Paxton. Haley is the girl next door, Grant is the athletic kid, and Paxton is the class clown. Other than that, the other characters are just here for the sake of the plot. Now, after dropping Madeline off, Lucas is stalked by one of the tarot card entities, and he soon realizes that something is very wrong as he enters the subway, and he sees the entity down the hallway as lights are turning off towards him. Now, reasonably shitting bricks at this point, he turns to run for his life, but is herded by the entity into a restricted area where they keep all of the unused train cars. Then, while hiding in one of the old train cars, he is jump scared similarly to Elise, which causes him to fall out of an open train car door to get hit by an oncoming train, which I'm assuming has to be some type of ghost train or apparition because the geography of this area and just kind of how the trains are set up here, it makes it seem like this area hasn't been used or even is an active train line. So there shouldn't be any trains here. So I have to just assume that the ghost created this train somehow. Because with Elise, the ghost changed her attic to look like a spooky 18th century freaking, I don't know, barn attic or something. So I'm assuming the tarot entity can conjure things that aren't really there to use to kill people. We then get more of this movie's astounding detective work when two detectives pull a group of kids together to tell them about Lucas's death and inform them that they're ruling his death as an accident as well. So you're trying to tell me that two people from the same friend group die within like 12 hours of each other, and the detectives don't think there's anything suspicious about that? Like, regardless of the fact of whether you can find foul play or not, there's no way that any detective in their right mind would see two deaths pile up in 12 hours from the same friend group and just go, must be a coincidence. Like, these motherfuckers must have just walked in and went, Johnson, isn't that the guy that knew the girl that died yesterday? You think there's something suspicious about that? Should we investigate? There's no signs of foul play. I don't think we have any work to do here. Open and shut case, Johnson. And yes, both police officers in that skit were named Johnson, because I am not creative enough to think of two different police officer names. I also don't even understand why the detectives are in this movie. This is like the only time they're in the movie. They're in the movie for like 3 minutes maybe for this one scene, but they don't ever get utilized ever again. So why were they here? You could have cut them out and there would be no difference to the plot of the movie. Like, usually these types of movies introduce a police officer who tries to arrest one of the kids because they obviously think that the kids are killing their friends. And then as the police officer goes to arrest the kid usually dies from the ghost in police custody. And then the police officer goes, maybe it is ghost. Maybe I should help these kids fight this ghost, even though that's not my job, you know? But yeah, this movie doesn't utilize these detectives ever again. So I don't even understand why this had to be in the movie. You can remove it and you would never even notice. Back at Paige's place, which has quickly turned into the group's little bat cave, we get this absurd conversation where Paxton suggests that somebody is probably killing them off, and it's most likely one of the friend group, because that's always who the killer is in true crime podcasts. Now, this is a completely reasonable and logical and realistic thing that anybody would say, any character would say in a movie, but literally every single one of his friends call him stupid for suggesting that somebody else is killing them. Then Haley, out of nowhere, has a fucking brain blast and goes,
I believe in fate.
Huh?
It's fate.
Grant is actually one of the only believable characters in this scene because he's the only one that calls out, what are the chances that tarot readings are killing us? Continuing with this movie's breakneck pacing, Haley is not only able to convince her friends that a dark tarot entity is killing them, but she's also able to find an expert on dark horoscopes and visit that expert all within 5 minutes of the movie's runtime. And I think when I watched it for the first time, this is when I really kind of realized that this movie is definitely geared towards the Gen Z crowd. And that's not even to throw shade at the Zoomers out there, but just the pacing and the way the characters are written, it's really obvious that this movie was made for the young 20-year-olds who believe everything their favorite TikToker says to them. Now, most other movies would make their characters work a little bit to get to this point, but this movie basically just moves its characters along the plot without any realistic depth to the characters and their beliefs or the scenes that they're in. Like, it's almost as if the writers were trying to speedrun how many cliches they could fit into their horror movie plot points. Now, the expert they visit is a woman named Alma, who is played by Olwen Fuer. I don't know if I am saying that right, but I've seen her in other movies and I like her as an actor. She's a good actor. But yeah, she gives us exposition about the deck and how it was created. It was created in Hungary in 1798 by a woman known only as the astrologer. During the time, the astrologer worked for a count who would employ her to read his future. However, when she predicted that the count's son and wife would die in childbirth, he got mad and told her to change her prediction. However, she doesn't control the future, she just reads the future. Fucking numbnuts. What? So obviously, when her predictions came true, the count, his knickers were kind of in a knot. So You know, he accused her of witchcraft, as we all do when a woman makes us mad in the 1700s. Witchcraft, burn her! Easy. The Count then kills the astrologer's daughter, which sets her on a warpath against the Count and all his homies. And so now she actually resorts to witchcraft, which kind of makes me wonder if the Count truly believes that the astrologer was capable of a witchcraft, why would he kill her daughter and not her? That's just asking to get cursed, which is exactly what happened. And now we have a cursed deck that's been killing people since 1798, all because you couldn't just live with the fact that your wife and son were gonna die. You fucked us, Mr. Count. On the way back from Elmo's place, the group's car suddenly stops in the middle of a bridge, and we begin to hear Haley's tarot reading for Madeline start to play over the car's speaker. And it basically says that because Madeline is a Pisces, she tends to run away from her problems, but if she stops doing that, everything will be water under the bridge. At the same time this recording is playing over the radio, we see that from Madeline's passenger side window, there is a ghostly hand writing the word run on the window. And do you know what Madeline does in this moment? If you said she stayed her ass in the car, you would be very wrong, because she gets out of the car and she runs for her dear life. As if she literally didn't just hear the tarot reading tell her to not run and everything will be fine. The characters also just established like a minute earlier that they should all try to remember what Haley said for their tarot reading and then use it so that they don't die or get killed by the ghost. And literally, as the tarot reading is playing on the radio, Madeline does the thing that the tarot reading told her not to do. But no, Madeline has to die here, so the writers need her to act like a complete idiot in order to put herself in danger so that they can justify killing her. And so obviously, while sprinting away from the car, a noose comes flying down from the top of the bridge, grabs Madeline by the neck, and yanks her up and kills her because her card was the Hanged Man. Now at this point, the remaining group are conflicted on what to do next. Paige, Grant, and Haley all want to go back to the Airbnb so that they can either destroy the deck or undo the curse somehow. But Paxton wants them all to go and shelter in place at someone's house. And so, unable to come to a consensus on what to do, Paxton decides that he's gonna go home alone so that he can wait out the curse in his house. Just like no. In what world would any logical person do that? You just saw what happened to your friend after she fucked up and separated from the group and didn't listen to the tarot card readings. And now you're gonna go and choose to literally walk home alone at night when you know you're being haunted by a ghost that can get you basically anywhere. And then you're gonna go and hide in your house alone, even though you know that it can get you in your house because it got Elise in her house. Paxton then also tries to justify his choice by saying that in true crime podcasts, you never return to the scene where the crime was committed. And there are just two things wrong about that, okay? One, you know you're not in a true crime podcast right now. You're in a ghost story, so the rules are very different here. And two, true crime actually says that you should never separate from the group, because when you separate from the group, bad things always happen to those people who separate from the group. Like, have you never watched Scooby-Doo? Paxton? Obviously, at this point, we know Paxton is dying next because he basically offered up his whole ass booty hole on a platter to the ghost for the freeze. Now, Paxton's reading said something about avoiding boxed-in spaces and ascending numbers. And he was fully aware of his reading at this point in the movie because he was just reciting it back to himself in the car, trying to remember what was said so that he doesn't do the things in the reading to get himself killed. And you know what he did just now? He entered an elevator going up. Now he eventually realizes the mistake he's made, but only as he's in the elevator looking at the ascending numbers, realizing, oh no, I'm in a boxed space. Oh no, there's ascending numbers. What have I done to myself? You are an idiot. That's what you did to yourself. Stupid. Now, as he's in the elevator, it eventually stops on a floor, but everything is all spooky outside, and at the end of the hallway is the Fool tarot card entity. The door opens and closes several times, and every time it does, the Fool entity is in a different area of the hallway doing some weird, creepy stuff. And the whole scene eventually culminates with the Fool breaking through the roof of the elevator and proceeding to eat Paxton's ass. as was offered. Back at the tarot house, the three decide on how they want to destroy the deck, considering they don't have holy water or a curse box, which I don't know what that is, but they just mention it without explaining it. But yeah, they don't have holy water or a curse box, which is one of the two, which is one of the three, which is one of the three, which is one of the two, which is two of the three ways that was explained online that they can destroy a cursed item. The fourth one obviously is fire. So they obviously proceed to go and try and burn the cards in the fireplace, but they quickly realize that they're not burning and that they may be royally screwed. So they end up having to call Alma. And now arriving at the house, Alma tells the kids that the only way to break the curse is to separate the astrologer's spirit from the cursed deck. As Alma begins performing the ritual, the astrologer shows up, basically casts hold person on Alma so she can't move, and then uses her ghostly telekinesis to start reading Alma's horoscope and then instantly kills her on the spot. It's easily the cheapest kill in the movie, and in my opinion breaks an unspoken rule of almost every supernatural horror movie, which is the fact that the entity or the ghost cannot take direct control over the method in which they curse or haunt their victims. Now, what do I mean by that? Because that kind of sounds like a word salad, but I promise you it's not. Let's take The Grudge, for example. In The Grudge, the only way that Kayako can haunt you and curse you and eventually kill you is if you step foot into her house. If you never step foot in her house, she has no power over you, and she can't force you to go in the house. She can't teleport you in the house. She can't like brainwash you to go in the house. The best you could do is maybe stand in the window and try to convince you to come in the house, but otherwise, if you don't go in that house, you're fine. Another good example of this is The Ring and Samara. Samara can't force you to watch the tape. Like, she can't magically put the tape into your VCR and turn it on and then make you watch it. You have to do that yourself, and then once you do that, then you screwed yourself. And so for me at least, the astrologer being able to use her own cursed item to curse other people kind of cheapens the whole gimmick to me, because now it's not like, oh, there's limitations to her power or whatever. She can literally just curse anybody she wants, and then boom, now she can kill them anywhere in the world. So after Alma is crumpled up like a tissue paper in a teenage boy's room, we get the obligatory chase scene with the surviving trio of characters. Paige ends up getting separated from Haley and Grant end up taking shelter inside of a room after they push this giant ass dresser wardrobe thing in front of the door. Paige is then led through, generic haunted mansion rooms and hallways by the astrologer using Haley's voice to bait her around. As Paige is making her way through these rooms, a light bulb turns on above her. The light bulb explodes, temporarily obscuring her vision, and then we get this POV of her kind of walking around the rooms, slightly blinded by the light or the explosion. I'm not really sure how she got blinded, to be honest. Like, I know obviously bright light in your face and then darkness makes you hard to see, but it doesn't make you like drowsy, and she's acting like she's been dazed or something or stunned. Anyways, you got the POV of her walking through these rooms, and she's pushing through these like backstage curtains and eventually ends up on stage, face to face with her tarot card, the Dark Magician. What? Not the right card game. What? Well, fuck. Coming face to face with her card, the Regular Magician, she is hit by some ankle shackles which make her fall to the ground. However, she's able to crawl away backstage where she sees a giant box that she is able to crawl into and hide in. Now, $10 to the first person who can correctly guess where this is going. Trapped like a rat in a box, quite literally, the box gets wheeled out by the magician to front stage, and the magician starts doing what magicians do best with boxes, cutting them in half. Now, unfortunately for Paige, this means that she's getting cut in half too, and since this guy's no Criss Angel, that means that Paige is on her way to meet a different kind of angel. Isn't that sweet? Checking back in with Grant and Haley, the two are finally having their little climactic makeup session here. Not make out, I said make up session, okay? Relax, gooners, chill. They're having their makeup session here, and this is where Haley has another one of her fantastic brain blasts. She comes to the conclusion that if she reads the astrologer's horoscope using the curse deck, then it should break the curse as well, because then the astrologer would also be cursed, and I guess that would end. They would cancel it out. Curse is curse. I didn't get that. I was bad at that in school, but I wasn't good with arithmetics or whatever subject that was. But curse plus curse is nullifies the whole curse. However, before they can actually act on this new idea, Grant is pulled out of the window behind them by the astrologer, and now alone and shitting bricks, Haley is trying to make a mad dash to the room that has a tarot deck. However, she rolls a natural 1 on her stealth check, so she is quite instantly gripped in a chokehold by the death entity, which was the card that was pulled for her reading. However, it's right at this moment where Grant comes to the rescue and clonks the thing on the head with a fire iron. Is that what they're called? A fire poker. Comes to the rescue with a fire poker, which leads me to ask, how the hell is he still alive? Because the astrologer has done a really damn good job of kill confirming every single person she has ever cursed. So how did this man seem to get pulled out of the window by her and then survive? Like, did she just leave him alive after pulling him through the window? Like, what's going on there? What? The astrologer then transforms from the death card to the devil card for Grant, and then is able to quickly overpower him off screen, and is then shown carrying him through the hallways towards a fiery, hellish portal, assumingly to hell. Which again leads me to ask, how the hell did this man survive that window scene? If she was able to deal with him so quickly here in the hallway, how the hell did he survive getting pulled out the window with her? Now, while Grant is putting up a great distraction for the astrologer, Haley is completing the tarot reading. And I'm not an expert on tarot, but I'm pretty sure at the beginning of this movie, they said that you need to have the person's horoscope or zodiac that you're reading so that you can like merge the tarot reading with the person more properly. But as far as I know, we don't know what the astrologer's zodiac sign is. So how is Haley doing this horoscope reading here? You know what? It's fine. It's fine. The movie is almost over. It's fine. Some plot holes are probably better left unfilled. Now, completing the astrologer's reading, Haley goes all, oh, your trauma doesn't define you. Ooh, let go and let live, you know, live, laugh, life. The astrologer is then destroyed in a whirlwind of spooky air and embers. The tarot deck can be seen burning on the floor of the house, and we get this final scene of Haley and Grant walking down the road towards town, all beat up and bruised. It is at this moment that we see a car pull up in front of them, and who steps out to save the day, or at least give them a ride back to town? Fucking Paxton. How? You may be asking. Well, don't worry, folks, because I got it for you. So apparently, as Paxton was in the elevator about to get his shit rocked by the fool, his roommate walked into the elevator, which ended the attack from the ghost. Like, didn't I just tell you that some plot holes are better left unfilled? Because holy shit. If I thought Grant had plot armor, Paxton is the fucking Iron Man of plot armor. Like, what kind of bullshit ass excuse? I am just so done with this movie. I'm so happy it ended here. Like, with writing this bad, I'm convinced that Grant, when he was pulled out of the window by the astrologer, he probably landed on a rock, got knocked unconscious, and then the astrologer was like, oh no, now that he's unconscious, I can't kill him. He won't be able to witness the death. That's no fun. And then just went on her way to go find Haley. Like, what the fucking hell kind of writing? God damn, this movie is fucking awful. Jesus Christ. But yeah, folks, that is all for this one. Like the last movie I covered, don't watch this shit. At least don't go out of your way to watch it. Don't pay for it. If you have it on like a streaming service that you already are paying for other reasons, just watch it there. Yeah, watch it there if you really want to. It's really bad. It's quite possibly the worst movie of 2024. Anyways, y'all, go ahead and subscribe or something. Do the YouTube stuffs. It is October, like I said, it is spooky season, and I got a couple more other horror movies and horror medias that I want to cover this month. So slap that subscribe button because you don't want to miss out. And with that, I'm out of here.